are joining us for another instalment of the Property Tribes Cross Lendlord collaboration, where we are showcasing the functionality of the Lendlord software. And as always, I am joined from Tel Aviv on this Zoom call by Aviram Shahar, co-founder and CEO of Lendlord. And well, it just keeps getting more exciting, really. For this webinar, we are going to turn our spotlight onto the issue of tax. Now, all landlords know that this is one of the most important areas to seek professional advice and understand your position, because it can impact massively on your bottom line. If you're starting out, you need to ensure that you structure your property business in the correct format that's best for you and your personal circumstances. And if you're building a portfolio, your tax structure may need to change over time. So you do need to be aware of this. And I'm sure Aviram will agree with me that bringing in the functionality of the tax insights, which we're going to be talking about on this webinar, is a major step forward for Lendlord.
Definitely, yes. So a few months ago, we partnered with a UK tax and accounting firm in order to look at our software and see which insights we can generate, which automatically generate out of the current functionality that we already have. And we came up with several solutions that can definitely bring indication to the user, to our landlords, on what is going to be like their tax liabilities in three different aspects. One is the capital gains tax. And here's something that we calculate directly from the HMRC website. So you can get a result according to your profile. The second thing is the inheritance tax, the IHT, that usually derives from your equity. And the third tax is the income tax on your rent. And there we also use different calculations. If you own the property on a private ownership or in a limited company, it's different tax implications. So basically, we package everything in one widget, so you can see how it changes over time. And with the partnership with Guardian Professional, this is the firm that we partnered with, they can also take it one step forward and advise our users on ways they can improve their tax liabilities.
Indeed, and tax advice is very specialist, and we were obviously only wanting to partner with a tax advisor that's had specialist knowledge of landlord and property tax. And Aviram mentioned their Guardian Professional, and in fact we know them because they are my and Nick's personal accountants for the last 10 years. So we've worked very closely with Guardian Professional over the last decade, and it just seemed a very natural solution to bring them into this kind of ecosystem that we are building to help landlords find everything in one place. And again, Aviram, this partnership and the tax insights there, and the next step forward towards that ecosystem, that professional environment for landlords to operate in, and that's really been Lendlord's mission from day one, hasn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I think that now with this add-on to the platform, and I can showcase the dashboard in a minute, you can see many aspects of your property business on one dashboard. You can see just the high-level overview and the key metrics, and you can deep dive to each one. And you can also choose what functionality you want to use and what functionality is perhaps less relevant for you. But definitely this is like our mission, to provide a one-stop shop for the landlord, that he can first manage his investments using the deal analyzer and the key metrics, manage his property details on my portfolio page, track the monthly expenses, manage the tenants and tenancies and rent collection, and of course the finance side. That this is like where we started from, and now I think that the tax, it's a great add-on to that, because it can complete the picture in terms of measure your profitability, and you can also take some actions in order to improve your situation. And we believe that information and automation can bring the user to a much better place in terms of his property business. So yeah, definitely.
Well, this is all part of what we are calling our digital first approach, of which Lendlord is spearheading. And Avram mentioned their personal tax. Clearly, you know, landlords have always or should always try and claim as much as they're entitled to. But I think this became even more important since 2015 with the advent of Section 24, because obviously the regime for a landlord purchasing property in their own name became far more onerous with the introduction of Section 24, and therefore it became even more important for landlords to claim every expense that they were entitled to, as they should. And I think if we first focus on the personal tax liability, Abraham, obviously every landlord has to complete a self-assessment tax return annually. Some choose to do it on their own, some choose to work with an accountant. I've always chosen to work with an accountant, in this particular case Amit at Guardian Professional, as I mentioned. But really, I think, you know, if we look at the personal tax module, I think one of the most compelling and powerful things about it is it does prompt you to fill in different fields of different things that you can claim for. You know, for instance, mileage to visit a property. Some landlords don't even know that you can claim that, but if you've got 100 properties and you're not claiming the mileage to make an annual or biannual visit to inspect them, then you're wasting an opportunity to reduce your tax liability. So perhaps, Avram, we could have a quick look at the personal tax and expense module, and that is part of you know, helping people understand their tax position.
So perhaps I can showcase the app, and I can show how is the best way. We will do it out like a high-level overview, and I believe you will mention it as we go. Like, we have a webinar this week, so we'll deep dive more into the details in the webinar on this Thursday. Mm-hmm. So first, if we talk about the personal liabilities, after you enter your property details on the My Portfolio page, you should go to the Profit and Loss page. And this is the page that you can track your expenses and, of course, your income, and you can see your cash flow over time. And the platform keeps a history of up to 5 years, and you can review it over the years. And when you go to the expenses sidebar, you will see first like predefined expenses, and one of the latest features that we've added is a category. So you can categorize your expenses by clicking on the category label. You can switch the category. You can change it in one click. You can even edit the category name and pick a different color if you want. And you can also add your own category name. And this is like the way to track your monthly expenses. And let's go to July or August, yeah. And once you do that, then we've added the expenses breakdown report. So you can review your expenses over time. You can filter it by months. and you can filter it by expenses. If I want to see only the management fees, so I can just check this and see it. And I can also filter it by owners, and I can filter it by properties, and basically apply any filter. And let me come back to it. And another new feature, and this is like what you spoke, Vanessa, is the estimated P&L report. And here, and it's important to say, it's like just like an indication. So it's something that you definitely need to assess with your accountant, but it can provide you with a high-level indication of what your profit after tax should be. And I think the good thing that we did here, so if you own properties on company and you have some properties on your private ownership, then you can see the difference. You can see what will be your tax if you own privately, and if you have like under a limited company, and if so, we will take also the dividend tax rate according to your tax band. And we summarized everything, and this is like the new feature of the tax insights on the new dashboard. And in the dashboard, you can see now the widget tax insights. So first you can see the total capital gains tax, and we compare it to your equity, and you can see basically how much is going, if you now sell, let's say, the entire portfolio, what will be your estimated capital gains tax. You can refine this number by going to the property on the My Portfolio page and click on Calculate Gains Tax. When you do that, and it takes some time because we go directly to the HMRC website, you will get the accurate number, and you will see also like a PDF, a print screen for the HMRC that is like your evidence on how the HMRC calculated it. It takes time, so I will skip that right now, but this is the way to refine this result. The second thing is the IHT, and it's calculated as 40% from your equity, but there is an allowance of 325k pounds, so we take it also into account. And the last thing is the summary of the report I just showed, and this is like the personal income liabilities and what is going to be your net income, and we take it from May to April. And if you want to see like what is the current, you can go to the report and change the dates. As you see, like we also embedded a call with Guardian, the company, if you want to get the free call, like advice call with Guardian Tax and Accounting, and see if you can change something and you can improve your tax liabilities. And I think that like in the high level already, this is it. And in the webinar, we will get into the details on mainly on how to use the profit and loss, how to manage your expenses, how to track expenses, as you said, let's say like a mileage expense, and how to track categories and watch the reports.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure that everybody viewing this will agree with me how helpful and powerful it is going to be to have those instant insights. And we are calling them insights because they are just high level metrics, and of course they're also determined on you as the user of Lendlord putting in the correct information. So and the more data that you input to Lendlord, the harder it will work for you, and the more accurate the data insights it will give you right across every single module. And I think it was just so interesting to see that you can just have a little snapshot running alongside your portfolio, and that every time you input new data or update an aspect of Lendlord, that will be reflected into the insights. And the other thing that I personally love about it is it's almost kind of preparing your tax return as you go along, so that at the end of the year you don't have that scrabble like I do, of grabbing all my bank accounts and getting all my other bits and pieces together. It's kind of, if you do something little and often, it's a lot easier than waiting to do something in like one big chunk. So I think if we can all develop the discipline to start inputting data regularly into Lendlord, that's really going to make life a lot easier, and also because you know, making tax digital is also on the horizon as well. So not quite sure when that's going to become necessary for landlords to make their tax digital, which is I think it's quarterly reporting instead of annual reporting. But obviously Lendlord is kind of future proofing people for that. And I think the other thing, Avram, is that you know, tax is never one size fits all in terms of your personal strategy and so on. And this is why I'm so delighted that we have made this collab with Guardian Professional, because they're literally one step away, where, you know, our Lendlord users can get professional advice. And, you know, we're always recommending that this really is the era of professional advice now. So we've got this really wonderful kind of little triangle forming between Property Tribes, Lendlord, and Guardian Professional. And in fact, Amit from Guardian Professional will be joining our webinar, our public webinar on Thursday evening to discuss this further. But again, it's this fantastic little ecosystem that we're producing, and I think adding the tax insights into it is really going to help people a great deal, not least because it can show you, roughly speaking, what your tax liability is going to be for your next payment on account, and therefore you can make sure that you're putting sufficient funds aside to be able to make that payment.
Exactly, yeah. And now with the tax insight thing, that you can see it also over time. So every time you change your expenses, you change, something has changed, like rent, expense, or even like an increase, and or anything. You will see it immediately on your dashboard, how it impacts your metrics.
Absolutely. And I think, as we stated all along, landlords do need to take tax more seriously. You should be understanding your tax position, your tax structure, whether it's right for you and what you're trying to achieve. And you should also be claiming all expenses that you are entitled to. It would be pretty silly not to under the circumstances, especially when all the prompts are there for you to input all of these expenses that you're entitled to. And I did also really like the feature, Avram, where you can create your own category of expenses, because of course some people might have some completely random thing that isn't necessarily you know, an average expense for other landlords, so they have the opportunity to create a field just for that particular expense that's very bespoke to them.
Right, yeah. So it's easy to do. You can just click on the category label. You will get the drop down. First, you can edit each category if you want to change the name. And it's customizable for your account, and you can add any category. Just decide which name you want to put and which color you want to put to this category, and the platform will save it, and you can use it on any expense in one click. It's very easy, and you will see it immediately on the expenses breakdown. And one thing that I wanted to mention, when I mentioned about like getting everything in order in terms of your expenses, you can also upload receipts when you use Lendlord, and download them anytime. And you can also export the data to an Excel spreadsheet. So you can export the expenses, you can export from the export on the main area, you can export, you can decide which properties you want to export the data for, you can decide if it's purchase cost, monthly income, monthly cost in the period, and you will get it immediately on an Excel spreadsheet, and you can send it to your accountant, for instance. And this is another thing that like we get a lot of questions from users. Everything in Lendlord is exportable, so you can export your portfolio data as well in one click, and of course your profit and loss data, as I showed before.
Fantastic. Well, those were just a few introductions to the new tax insights that you can now receive via Lendlord. And on Thursday evening, or the next webinar along from this one, if you're watching on YouTube, you will be able to join us for a live webinar, a public webinar, where you can join us and ask any questions that you have. And also for that webinar, as we mentioned, we will be joined by Amit Prasanna of Guardian Professional, who will be talking about landlord tax issues as well. And it really is a trending topic on Property Tribes all the time. There's new landlords coming on asking about whether they should incorporate, or is it best to buy in your personal name, or have a mix of both. So it's actually so good that landlords are waking up to this and really engaging with the topic of tax. And just to finish, Avram, I will say that, and I'm being completely honest here, that the topic of tax actually makes my eyes glaze over. I really do find it dull. So we're lucky that Lendlord and the tax insights actually bringing it to life, and giving us those instant gratification insights. And I think, you know, that combined with having access to Guardian Professional for bespoke advice, which of course we want to again stress is really, really important. I think we've got it covered.
And I think it's, I think the partnership with Guardian is important and is great for us. And one last thing, I think that if we speak about the collaboration with Property Tribes, and this is like amazing journey for a software product, like to get so much feedback. Basically we're building the product with the community. And also here with the new tax insights, once it's released, we release tomorrow on Tuesday. We would love to get your feedback and suggestions and bug reports, of course, to keep enhancing the platform and specifically the tax insights new module.
Yes, indeed. And we would like to thank all the thousands of users that are using Lendlord on a regular basis. The numbers grow every day, and to thank people that do give us feedback, do contact Avram on the chat box, or do post feedback on Property Tribes asking how to do specific things on the platform, because it's not just you that might want to know the answers to that question. It might be a lot of people in perpetuity. So thank you to everybody that's joining us on this journey, and adding to the mix and creating the Lendlord roadmap as we go. We really do value having landlord contributions, but we'll sign off for now and just once again say, please do join us on Thursday evening for the live webinar about these tax insights. We will be diving deeper into them along with our guest Amit Prasanna of Guardian Professional, who is now our tax partner for Lendlord. So join us there. We will put a link to the webinar underneath this video. But for now, Avram, we're signing off. Thank you for sharing those insights. Very just so exciting to see it all coming together, really.
Thank you, Vanessa. Yeah, it's very exciting to see it now live. And thank you very much for your support and for this interview.
Awesome. So we will see everybody on Thursday. So do join myself, Aviram, and also Amit Prasanna of Guardian Professional for a deeper dive into the tax insights that you can get for your portfolio via Lendlord.